The horrors of war lie just below the surface. In these forests south of St. Petersburg, then known as Leningrad, members of the reconnaissance squadron are listening to the pulse of the metal detectors, tracking the remains of fighting from 70 years ago. The siege of the city by German forces in 1941 lasted nearly 3 years, 900 days of terror that left very nearly 700,000 Soviet soldiers dead. The diggers have filled a museum with what they've found beneath the battlefield, among the machine guns and mortars, the personal effects. Because this is not a search for the weapons of war. It's a search for the victims of that conflict, finding the remains of the fallen Soviet soldiers, giving them a proper burial, and sometimes, but not always, a name.
We have found the soldier's death medallion. It helps us to identify the person and try to find his relatives. You can open the capsule, but in this case you see that unfortunately it is empty, and we won't be able to identify this soldier.
It's a job not without risks. The soldiers' ammunition is unstable. Volunteers and other teams have been killed. Among the diggers, 17-year-old Maria Andreeva.
I wanted to pay respect to the people that gave away their lives. I wanted them to be buried properly so that they won't remain in pits like these forever.
And occasionally they can give the missing soldiers a name. In her apartment in St. Petersburg last week, Irina Vashilo took a call from the reconnaissance squadron. They had found the body of her father she had last seen when she was 4 years old. Captain Andrei Rossov was a bomber pilot shot down in 1941, just 3 months into the war.
I feel proud. Unbelievable. I was always proud of my father. He was a pilot even though I was a child, but he was always a hero for me. And when they called and said that the remains were discovered, when I've lost the hope, it was so exciting.
And it's not just the volunteers from the reconnaissance group searching for the fallen. There's another group of men hunting the bodies, stripping the dead of their weapons and equipment to supply the lucrative and illegal trade in war memorabilia back in Moscow. They're called the Black Diggers. At Izmailovo market, just outside Moscow, on display the paraphernalia of war dug up in forests outside the capital. Foreign buyers will pay well for these looted remains. At a military cemetery in Petersburg, they laid to rest the 4 bodies of the men brought up from the ground by the reconnaissance squadron a week earlier. A moment of quiet satisfaction for the team, and some sort of consolation for the families of the tens of thousands of missing soldiers, knowing that they won't be forgotten. Peter Sharp, Al Jazeera, St. Petersburg.